good evening, good afternoon, good day, good everything to all of you wonderful listeners, watchers, to the Questionable Album Club, the podcast where this beautiful panel of music fans we attempt to blow the dust off some of rock's curios, failures, and generally perceived missteps. On the panel today, we've got Marcus Kingwell. Hello, Marcus.
Hello.
We've got Ross English. Hi, Ross.
Good evening, everybody.
We've got Simon Ward.
Good hello.
And we've got Steve Gibson. Hi, Steve.
Good evening.
We have a top 10, so we mark everything out of 100, and we have a rolling top 10 of everything we do. Our last episode, Chinese Democracy, sadly did not make the top 10. Simon, you are going to read our top 10 today, and please feel free to make any comments briefly upon any numbers that you might.
Okay, that's good. I can see that. Grinder Man 2 in at number 10. Number 9, Slayer, God Hates Us All, and he would do. 8, Van Halen 3. 7, Marillion, Clutching at Straws. 6, The Rolling Stones, Their Satanic Majesty's Request. 5, Captain Beefheart, Blue Jeans and Moonbeams. You've got a parcel, by the way, Seb. 4, Yes, Drama. 3, The Doors, The Soft Parade, which wasn't the one we were supposed to do. 2, Happy Mondays, Yes Please. And Rick Wakeman remains at the top with The Six Wives of Henry VIII.
Thank you, Simon. Wonderfully done. Today's album chosen by you, Steve, we'll come to you in a second, is Leonard Cohen. It's Death of a Ladies' Man from 1977, his fifth studio album, and a departure from his normal kind of pared-down, sparse approach and whisper vocal, of course, because it was produced by Phil Spector, which I presume, Steve, is why you chose it?
Yeah, well, I love Leonard Cohen. And I've avoided this album because I hate Phil Spector. I don't see how turning reverb up really high makes you a genius. It's just my take on his art. So I've always thought, well, that's going to be awful. And what better opportunity to listen to it than this this fucking thing? So here we are. That's why I chose it. And yeah. Well, if you want to talk a bit about Leonard Cohen, he is somebody over the last. I'd say last couple of decades that if I fancy listening to a song, I've been listening to him more rather than Bob Dylan. And
do you think that's an age thing, Steve? Because you get older.
I think there's a lot of factors. I think it's that I've completely lived through Bob Dylan. I had my Bob Dylan phase, as we all know on here, and I just lived through it. So maybe I'm a bit sick of Dylan, but I find, well, there's stuff to talk about that we can get onto when we get to the album, I think, really. But the weird thing about Leonard Cohen is he's somebody, we almost have artists, I don't know if this makes any sense, but he's an artist I love, and always have loved him, but I don't really feel I've got much skin in the game. It's not like I rushed out and bought every album when it came out or feverishly collected it. It's just something that kind of accrued on me as life's gone on, you know?
Yeah. I'm sort of the same. I don't know. I guess we'll all talk about it. But of course, Leonard Cohen was a Canadian poet who came to music relatively late in his life, with his absolute masterpiece first album, which is Songs of Leonard Cohen, which had all his most famous songs, I guess, are on the first album, a bit like Kiss. And all the first four albums were all up to New Skin for the Old Ceremony. Were all of that kind of very close mic thing and this Spector approach. But what was interesting about actually I won't go into this. I'm getting ahead of myself. Simon, Leonard, you a Leonard Cohen man? I've never heard you talk about Leonard Cohen because you're always busy talking about fucking Dead Kennedys or whatever. But
when have I ever spoken to you about Dead Kennedys?
Only a million times. Anyway,
I don't think I've ever mentioned Dead Kennedys to you. Anyway, I can talk about Dead Kennedys for ages if you want.
Oh God, can I just apologise to everybody for me starting this? I retract that, Simon. What do you think about Leonard Cohen?
I'd rather talk about Dead Kennedys if that's all right. I don't know if that's because I talk about them a lot. Anyway, so Leonard Cohen. I sort of. Interesting pairing, these two, because I think in my world, I'm supposed to like both of them. They're both supposed to be very influential in alternative music, and particularly sort of the gothier end of it. They're both supposed to be sort of, a big influence. I like. What's that song? Everybody Knows. I got really obsessed with Everybody Knows for a while. but that's probably, apart from Hallelujah, that's probably the only Leonard Cohen song that I know well.
If you
Uh,
just talk, I think we need to just deal with Hallelujah. Have you heard the original studio version of Hallelujah?
I don't know which one I've heard. I haven't paid that much attention. I've heard him doing it. I've heard
Because
that
it's
god
an
awful
absolute.
Jeff Buckley thing.
Well, because
Um,
the original's like an '80s absolute wet wedding cake of a load of fucking '80s horrific. It's just terrible. I mean, it's kind of its perennial status now. It's now a kind of absolute classic. It's not because of the studio recording. It's the song itself, absolutely. But my goodness me, you listen to the original, it's like, oh my God, really?
so I think that's what happened. I think I once investigated because you sort of, in the old days, you used to read about these artists that you were supposed to like, and you'd go off and listen to. And I think I listened to an album of Leonard Cohen, and it was all very 80s, plasticky sounding, and it wasn't what I was expecting. And then I didn't bother going back. And the same with Phil Spector. I mean, I think I'm supposed to really like Phil Spector stuff, and like, I kind of like the sound of the girl group stuff that he did. I didn't know until I was researching this that he'd done stuff with the Beatles and John Lennon. I didn't know that Imagine was him. I was quite surprised. But
He was
and
great.
that sort of that kind of boom 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 tish thing. I like. I like it when Jesus and Mary Chain do it. I like it when
Well, that was "Be My Baby" that was very much his thing.
right. So, and I kind of like the sound I like the wall of sound thing definitely has had an influence on people that I like. But I don't really know very much about I don't know much about either of them, if I'm honest, and I haven't listened really to either of them before properly.
Crikey, and Simon, I dread to think what you're going to say when you actually talk about this record. Ross, am I right in thinking that your son is named after Mr. Cohen?
No, he's not. It's just a happy coincidence.
Oh, okay.
Uh, no, I love Leonard Cohen. I came to him reasonably late. It was sort of like the late '90s. I was in California, and I went into a record shop in Santa Monica, and they did a thing that when someone had an album out, they'd have a display, and they'd like be plugging the album, but then they'd get the artist to recommend 6 essential albums that they think you should listen to, and the artist would do a little write up under each one. And it was at a time when Tom Waits had an album out. And as you know, I actually adore Tom Waits. And so I went up, and out of the 6 albums, 4 of them I already owned, but there were 2 that I didn't know. And one was Beefheart's Trout Mask Replica, and the other was Leonard Cohen, I'm Your Man. So, of course, I had to take Mr. Waits' advice and everything. I bought both of those and absolutely fell in love with I'm Your Man. I still think it's a flawless LP. And it's the only one where I can think of a sort of a legacy artist who managed to do something interesting and right with that sort of 80s sound, 80s production that we've talked about a lot on here. And I still actually adore that album. And then, of course, I went back and I devoured the back catalogue. And you're right. I mean, the songs of Leonard Cohen is fantastic LP. I mean, the first track is Suzanne. I mean, talk about entering the game at the high level. I mean, it's just, it's astonishing. And
What I love about Suzanne, Ross, just to interrupt, I've read about this recently that you think Suzanne, it sounds so flawless, it sounds so immediate, but apparently it took ages to write it, ages and ages and ages to write it, which I think is brilliant because it just sounds like so tossed off with these
yeah,
kind of slightly surrealistic lyrics, but
well,
it was actually it was carved out of stone.
Well, it was always a craftsman who never knew when to stop. I mean, the story about how John Cale picked up Hallelujah. That John Cale saw him play Hallelujah live to talk to Leonard Cohen afterwards. I want to record this. Could you please send me the lyrics? And then he went back home and he found his office just filled with fax paper that Leonard
Yeah,
Cohen had just
exactly.
been sending out.
Same
And
thing.
I've got the album that's on. I'm Your Fan, which is the covers of Leonard Cohen songs. Anyway, getting off the point. So adore that stuff. I think the stuff he did when he came back because he was all broke has some wonderful things there. Things like Old Ideas, and I saw him on that tour, and it was fantastic. It's not a flawless back catalogue. There are ups and downs, but always along the way, there's something that I was going to say because surprises you, and that's not right. Because Leonard Cohen doesn't really surprise you because he's very much consistent in what he does, but there is always something there which hits a massively high standard, and that's what I love about an artist, that you can just pick out bits and they're different, and it might not be as good as the other thing, but there'll be something on the album which is good. So yeah, huge thumbs up for Leonard Cohen from me.
You talking about nothing surprising? Okay, okay.
Well, I mean,
Yeah. But hold that thought. But nothing surprised you until anyway. Well, dot dot dot. Marcus,
What's
Leonard
your
Cohen?
guess, Seb? What's your guess here?
I don't know. I don't know with you. You never know. I didn't expect you to roadie for the Happy Mondays, for example.
There you go. Yeah, full of
Uh,
surprises.
I'm going to say that you don't like him. You think it's all like moany and da da da, didn't like it and da da da, and you just da da da. I reckon that's my
Da-da-da,
guess.
da-da-da, da-da-da. Actually, you're pretty close there. I'm actually agreeing with Simon's description. It's one of those names which everybody reveres, but I've disliked the tone of his voice, so I've never given him the time of day. And I know that's a bit flawed and a bit childish, but and from the plaudits we've had so far, there's stuff I've got to listen to without question. So I'm a bit broader on that respect. But generally, no, I'm not a fan. I'm not drawn into, and it's mainly the tone of his singing, and that's just, I can't say more than that really. It just irritates me slightly. With Phil Spector, yeah, I'm with Simon. I like some of the sort of girl group stuff in the '60s, but I think there's like so many better sounds from the '60s. The way that the songs are put together or production styles, whether it's the Motown sound or whatever, is that he's just another version, or not another version. He's an alternative choice, but I don't see him as the uppermost 1960s producer by any stretch. The Wall of Sound's just a thing. It's interesting for a bit, but ultimately it's quite tiring to listen to. Uh, yeah, I was intrigued by this one. In our usual tradition, I'm not going to say any more at this point. That's going to come in round two.
No, fair enough. And I think we have to give Phil Spector his due because he did invent that massive, massive '60s sound. He did he did the Renette stuff. He did River Deep Mountain High. He did Let It Be. He ruined Let It Be. He did All Things Must Pass for George Harrison. Went into the '70s. Did one of my favorite records of all time, Born to Be With You by Dion. But I think by this time, by the late '70s, in fact, Born to Be With You was the album he did before this. I think his shtick was he'd sort of run out of road. That sort of massive '60s expansionist. I don't think it was just reverb, Steve. I think it was just kind of this. He saw sound cinematically, and he was the first person to sort of manifest that. I think with this depth of field, this is why he was so revered. Because the '60s used to be mono, everything was scratchy, and then Spector was like, let's just make everything like it was. I suppose to me, Spector is considered to turn music from black and white into colour with his sheer sort of stereotastic, anyway, expansionist sound. But of course, he was a deeply flawed guy, and there were a lot of issues with this. I don't know if you read about this. There was this massive. They were drinking a lot of. They were both into guns and drinking lots of gin, and Spector used the Spector wouldn't let him. He demanded on using the guide vocals for the in the finished version. Cohen thought, well, I'll go in and record the vocals now, and Spector was like, no, you won't, because we're using the guide vocals. It's just and Cohen has always hated the album because he felt he lost control of it through the recording process. But Steve,
Well, if we could talk about Leonard Cohen for a minute
as someone
rather
who
than
doesn't
Phil
like
Spector,
sorry, mate, sorry, say again.
we could talk about Leonard Cohen for a minute rather than Phil Spector.
Well, I'm just trying
Um,
because the only reason I said that was because this is obviously it's a Phil Spector album with Leonard Cohen's. It's very much.
I'm being facetious.
That's unusual.
So this album, I thought when it started off, I thought I'm actually quite like this because it wasn't very Wall of Soundish. Then track two had got that awful snare drum on it, which is just like, oh, here we go. But on the positive side, I thought the sax player probably never in a million years thought he'd leave sax school and end up having a good time on a Leonard Cohen album. But he's got a bit of a free hand. Um, I think this album, I think again, I think Ross hit a good point. I was gonna say that I think although this album is pretty flawed, but it's still an experiment that he seems to come out of it better than say Dylan doing some awful albums. It seems to work on some sort of level. I enjoyed the juxtaposition of all the happy stuff with Leonard Cohen's guide vocal over it. I think one of the problems is that he sets up these. You normally hear a Phil Spector-y kind of vamp on a 2-minute pop song. Some of these songs go on with that same vamp for a long time, and lyrically, this is not Cohen's finest moment by a long, 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 long way, which really, really lets it down and is really feels of well, in my opinion, um, there was nothing to get hold of there really. Um, so I found it more of an interesting listen than I thought I was going to, and I enjoyed the kind of it was more upbeat musically than I expected. So that sort of got me through it a bit. And there's some the song about having a hard on and all the rest of it. That was quite strange. Now get to the don't go out with the don't leave with it with your to having a hard whatever it is. That's not
Probably,
great.
probably
Don't
Dylan's
go
on
home with your hard on.
Yeah, probably good advice. But
apparently Dylan's on backing vocals on that. Apparently,
is he?
yeah.
Yeah, and somebody else. Who's
Is
the
that
other
apparently,
person?
or is that a fact, or is that an apparently rock myth?
I don't know. That's what I heard.
I'm sure. I'm sure if Dylan,
It's a myth then, by definition.
if Dylan had been on that, I'm sure I would have seen that or heard someone at one of those awful fucking Dylan things I went to talk about it, and it had been all over the shop. So I'm not. I remain unconvinced. Usually, everything Ross says goes with me, but I remain on the fence with that one, Ross. But yeah, I thought I was pleasantly surprised. But at the end of the day, when when one is sitting alone drinking on a Friday night very late, crying about where it's all gone wrong and the one that got away, is this the Leonard Cohen album you're going to reach for? Not for
But
me.
I think this is for that exact moment. This is perfect. It's like a sort of horrible chintzy hotel room at 4 o'clock in the
It's
morning.
it's something a lot of the chord progressions are so cheesy, but
Yeah.
somehow I didn't mind that when Leonard Cohen started.
Well,
Sing over it.
I think if you do a basic 145 on a Spanish guitar with Leonard going whispering about whispering about you can't. What with the cello softly in the background, that's kind of all right. But with Spector hamming it up with terrible fucking oh god, dear oh dear, yeah, absolutely. The production as insofar as the instrumentation is, but as you say, the first song, "True Love Leaves No Traces," it starts off. You think, oh god, this is
Yeah.
fantastic because it's to me it's by far the best song, and it's a duet with I can't remember her name, but it's just this beautiful, lovely, and it's just it's Spectre at its best. It's tasteful, and it's all working for the song. But then into that iodine song, which is track two, and it's immediately it's the biggest, well, one of the biggest crashes of an album I can ever remember. Anyway, Simon, not being a big fan of Leonard Cohen and not a big fan of Phil Spector, where did you end up with this? Dare I ask?
Well, so I'm not a fan of either of them. I just don't really know anything about them. Well, I didn't until I started researching this. I saw that thing as well, the thing about Dylan being on backing vocals, and I think it's one of the Beatles as well. They turned up at Spector's house, and he sort of forced them to do it at gunpoint or something. Seems like he did most of things at gunpoint. Um, Nice bloke as well, sounds like, reading about him. Really, really lovely guy. Anyway, so yeah, the first one, I agree with you. That started off, and I was like, yeah, it's all right. It's quite nice. And then is Iodine the one with the all that sort of woozy trumpet and saxophone riffs and like little, really horrible, I think. It was either that one or the next one. I I just kind of. I think Steve, you said it goes on too long, or maybe it was you said, but long songs with that kind of
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
saccharine kind of music arrangements are just I just I felt a bit sick after some of them. I thought the first side was particularly I couldn't listen to it. I couldn't latch onto it. Every time I tried to listen to what was going on, it just kind of I started thinking about something else and it just sort of washed away. But I think it picks up when it gets to memories. I thought that was quite an interesting. It romps along quite nicely. And then don't go home with your heart on. I enjoyed that in a sort of dumb way. And then the country one that comes after it, I think comes after that. There's a sort of country.
Fingerprints.
Yeah, that was horrible. Um, but the one song I really liked on it was the last track, the title track. Mostly because it made me think of Nick Cave's version of The Singer on Kicking Against the Pricks. And when I thought of that, I realised that the whole of Kicking Against the Pricks is basically like this record, but better, with tunes. And One of the problems I've got with, I think one of the reasons I've never bothered with Leonard Cohen is I don't really like poetry. I don't like clever words because I'm too stupid to understand what they mean, and I can't. I don't like clever. You know, the sort of. I did poetry. I studied poetry. I did English A level. And we studied some poetry, and I just couldn't understand why people wouldn't just say what they meant rather than using all these weird allegories. Like, why are you making me work so hard to understand what you're saying? Why don't you just say it if you're going to say it? And so when I listen to things like Leonard Cohen and Bob Dylan and all the lyrics are all sort of cryptic and clever and poetry, like I'm just like, oh, fuck off. So
You should have been on
that's why I think. Sorry?
You should have been on the Guns N' Roses pod last time, mate. That was all quite straightforward.
Yeah, well, quite. That's probably more at my intellectual level.
Totally.
So yeah, I think he's when he was being silly, like don't go home with your heart on. I'm happier with that. But when it's all serious and romantic and so yeah, I don't really have a strong feeling at all about this record. Some of it was okay. A lot of it sounds like sounds like the kind of music you'd hear in Costa Coffee.
Really?
Yeah, well, just like that kind of, it's safe. Like the music, the sound of the music is just kind of safe.
I don't think it is safe. I think it's deranged.
Do you? It just all sounds like a big wish-washy sort of. I do like I really like the Wall of sound. I just don't like his musical arrangements, I think, because there are contemporary records that use that sort of sound that I really enjoy, and I really like that kind of. You're right, it wasn't just reverb. He used to use like two or three drummers and two or three bass players and have the whole sections of one instrument like they were an orchestra, which I think is pretty cool. But
Yeah. I know what you mean, and I think that I suspect they were all so completely saturated in booze and drugs and delusion and guns and 70s LA nonsense that it's for it to work for Phil Spector to do a Leonard Cohen album. They both had. I think they would both have to be on the top of the game. And think how is this going to work? How is this not going to work? And the first song works brilliantly. I think thinking, oh my god, this is amazing. This is a complete gem. This is going to be then
yeah, I
immediately.
mean, I wouldn't have gone quite that far, but it was tolerable.
Well, it's good. I think it works as a piece of music, right? But the rest of it doesn't. It's just kind of like, oh, this will do. Anyway, Ross, what did you think as an Uber fan? What did you think of this record? Have you got this one?
No, I don't. I've heard it though, and it was one of those that I remember being terrible, and so that's why I never really bothered with it. And actually, the nice surprise was listening to this one. It wasn't as terrible as I remembered. It was, and that was a really nice surprise. I don't think it's any good, but it's. I don't think it's the weakest Leonard Cohen album there is. But But I was really pleased that I wasn't hating it. I mean, I think you're right. But I think that there are several problems. I mean, one is it's not peak Leonard Cohen at all. I mean, Steve's absolutely right. I mean, lyrically, it's probably one of the weakest albums. And I think musically, it's okay. There's some bits and pieces, but it just can't escape from Spector being just completely bonkers. I mean, Spector. Simon mentioned, when he worked with Lennon on, say, Plastic Ono Band, he's actually quite restrained, and his music serves what John Lennon's doing. Here, this is just like he wants to shout, Phil Spector's here on every track. And he can't make up his mind what he wants to do. It's like every bit of Phil Spector he could possibly do, he does on every track. So you get the like the wall of soundy thing on the first one, where I can't hear Leonard Cohen's vocals half the time. And then you get this odd slapback thing on the beat on the second track. And then you've got the country one. And it's just like, for heaven's sake, man, just settle down and decide what you want this to do. And so I really struggled to find the songs within them, because every time it's like, oh God, what's Spector doing now? And I like Phil Spector for a lot of stuff done, but here he's just absolutely lost it. And the shame is that, as I was saying on the earlier thing, that even when Leonard Cohen's had down spots, there's always something there. So like my second least favourite one is New Skin. I don't like that album at all, but it's got Chelsea Hotel on it.
How do you feel, Commander Cohen?
Yeah.
You don't like New Skin? I love it. It's a bit long.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, but it will do. But you got Chelsea Hotel puts out, and every time he's like that, there's this at least one track that you go, now that made it worthwhile, and there isn't on this. And that's the thing that's the most depressing thing of all. I think that that I don't think there's anything massively redeemable. It's not terrible. It's just not very good.
Damning stuff. Marcus.
Interesting. Well, here comes Contrary Kingwell's curveball, because I thought this was fabulous, start to finish. No duff tracks at all. I mean, what an entry point into Leonard Cohen for me. The first album I've listened to end, and I picked this one, or I'm given this one to listen to. And I'm thinking, let's hope. I mean, this is obviously the rest are like this, yeah. It's the same kind of thing, just a few more lyrics, which in that a bit like the Captain Beefheart, that was a great entry point as well. So I'm looking forward. But seriously, I've just really thoroughly enjoyed the whole thing with this record. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was funny. I thought it was kind of out of its context. Sort of what am I trying to find out? When you think of the 1977 music, I was 9 years old and I was listening to the charts all the time, and there was a lot of awful kind of slushy ballads, sort of Rod Stewart ballads, and the Bee Gees. The sort of disco thing was big. And that this is going on in the background from a really huge established star. You've got this other style happening in the midst of the 70s.
He wasn't a huge
I don't know what it is. I can't even put a label to it. Actually, I'd be interested if anyone can sort of give a genre. I know we've said that's the country track and that's the other track. There's some kind of genre here, and I can't put my finger on what it is. There's the things it reminds me of. Some of the early Ian Dury the Blockheads tracks have this.
I thought that towards the end of the album, there's one track that could be off of a Blockheads record.
Probably my favourite Blockheads track is Superman's Big Sister, which is, again, he was lumped in with New Wave, wasn't he? But he's like, the sound is, I don't know, it's some kind of jazz funk thing. It's really hard to put a genre on it. And this had some echoes. It also was reminding me of, there's some of the stuff that Wilco Johnson does, sort of British R&B or 60s, 70s R&B. Again, I can't quite get the label, which sort of bugs me, but that's not really important. The overall thing was just highly pleasurable. And I suppose where the Wall of Sound bit comes in, I don't know the song titles. I've listened to the album as a sort of flow. The whole thing is a wall of sound for me. It's been this music coming through, all of it quite similar. It's not long. It's 42 minutes, I think, which, I don't like long records. This is a shortish record, or the proper length. So I just experienced it as a whole. And I've probably listened to it 5 times, which is quite a lot for me on these things. Normally I don't give things as much airtime, but a great pleasure. And you might even be getting my highest score at the end of this evening.
Isn't that, well, there you go, Marcus. There you go.
God, tell me I'm wrong, Seb.
Well, no, there's no objectivity in art, is there?
Well, apart from you hiding your head under a cushion while I was saying how much I liked it.
But that was yeah. It was just anyway. Yeah, I love the first 4 albums. And I love New Skin for the Old Ceremony. And I tell you what the best thing for me, the best thing that this has done for me was I didn't realise this was the one straight after New Skin, and I didn't know, and then I didn't do anything because I didn't like the future. I don't like the synthy stuff, I don't like I'm Your Man or 10 New Songs or any of that stuff, and you want it darker right at the end, where his voice, every album his voice goes down another kind of couple of tones until it's just sort of cliche. It's like a sort of fast show sketch of like, how low can Leonard go talking about, your vagina over some, a really cheap synthy, and I just thought I don't buy into that. I think it's cynical. It's just like, after he lost all his money, it's just like what are people going to like? But what I when we do this, of course, you listen around it, right, as we all do. But the album that came after this, 1979's Recent Songs, I didn't know. I don't know if anyone listened to that. It's absolutely wonderful. It's the first song on that. It's called The Guests, and it's like fucking hell. It's just like, it's just so, Marcus, honestly. I can, if I say one thing in all of this, it's like, if you like this, you should go into where Spector's not involved, because the genius of Leonard Cohen isn't here in this record. Leonard Cohen just is singing. He's singing guide vocals on songs that are, I understand it's really good fun. This, right? It's weird, it's bizarre. It kind of works, doesn't work. It's a weird sloppy mess, but it's charming, right? And it's got its moment. It's quite funny, and it's like, but there's a lot more Leonard Cohen's genius isn't really here. But what's brilliant about it is recent songs, the one after, it's just fantastic. If no one's heard it, it's really great. It's back to the sparse sound, but it's a little bit more grown up, and it's just clever and it's funny. It's just it's brilliant. Let's go to numbers. Steve, do you want to give us a summing up and a score and a favourite song? Favourite songs, that's going to be interesting.
Coming up, probably summed up in the last one. I won't be reaching for this when I fancy a bit of Leonard Cohen. I'm going 30 for the score, and my favourite song's the title track.
What was your number, sorry, for
30.
30.
And the title track, because I felt the title track was lyrically the most interesting.
Yeah.
By a long, long way.
I completely agree. Simon.
I mean, it's not good, but as Ross so characteristically, succinctly put it, it's not a good record. It's not a bad record, but it's not a good record. So I'll give it 40 points. And my favourite song is the title track. Not because it's got the best lyrics, because it had less music in it.
Simon, I'm intrigued, just engaging with your comment about not liking songs that are kind of poetic. But I think Leonard Cohen is a better lyricist, better insofar as a kind of so Dylan was very much just sort of, oh no, let's just let it all out. A chameleon, always changing, and brilliant lyricist, inspired. But Leonard Cohen is. Do you know?
No, I'm coming from an extremely uninformed position on Leonard Cohen. I'm just put off by anybody who, when people rave about the lyrics, I usually find those people very boring. I only really listen to the lyrics if they're funny. I only like lyrics if they're funny.
I completely understand that, Simon. I completely understand that, and I'm sort of with you generally. But I think, but because Cohen was a poet before he was a
yeah, that's what puts me off. I think that's even worse.
He's a wonderful. I think he's just his words are just. He's one of the few that I think that I almost kind of prefer the lyrics to the music. Steve, sorry, you wanted to come in.
Yeah, I just wanted to. Just a small point was we talked about going back to Suzanne. Is that I sort of just disagree in thinking that it sounds so off the cuff. I don't think any of Leonard Cohen's songs sound off. I think they sound really, really well crafted and like he's spent a long time thinking about things and working on them. That's how I feel about it. That's how it comes across to me.
Yeah, fair.
But
Yeah, I've always had that
I didn't
impression
realise
as
we
well,
had
Steve.
a Baron Knights fan on the pod as well. How do you think that?
Baron Knights fan? I missed the Baron Knights.
Actually, do you know? Yeah,
No, stop it there. We're not.
one of the first songs I really liked as a kid that I taped off the radio was their version of "Looking from a something above." Someone gave me a shove and now I'm falling. That one.
Right.
Looking for the window above, someone gave me a shove and now I'm falling.
Moving quickly on, Ross.
I hate to sound like I'm just splitting the difference here, but I'm going to go for 35. And my favourite track is also the title track. Sorry.
We have a winner for the playlist.
A rare consensus.
Marcus, give me some big numbers, baby.
Yeah, it's gonna be big. I wish I could remember well, I don't really wish I could. I want to place this according to the other ones that I've scored highly. I can't remember the scores. So I'm going to give this 75 points. And genuinely, my favourite song is the title track as well. Just nailed on, isn't it?
No, but Marcus, we're not going for the title track. We're going for the first track. We're going for True Love Leaves No Traces.
Someone said the title track.
We all did.
We all did.
Seb's just trying to gerrymander here.
Yeah, this is really confusing.
I thought everyone was going for True Love Leaves No Traces.
No, title track.
Clean your ears
title
out,
track.
mate.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry.
Honestly.
Because that's what you wanted to hear, Seb.
Did you listen to the
You
album?
wanted to hear that.
This answers a lot of questions for me.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm covered.
and he misquotes back at me.
This reminds me of something else going on in the world at the moment.
Yeah. Alternative truth, Seb Hunter.
Yeah. Standing in bushes with my binoculars. Sorry, yeah.
Less said, the better. There
But
we
yeah, but enough about your pastimes near school.
That's slightly thrown me. That's slightly thrown me. Okay, right. Okay, so we do have a winner, which is. I thought the title track starts really well for the first minute, but my God, it outstays its welcome. The tempos on this song. Everything is so slow. Oh. I'm going to give it 50% because 50, sorry, out of 100 because I think there are three brilliant songs and I quite enjoyed it. I think the first song was great. The last song was good. I like the one about the hard on. It's really fun. It goes to major to minor in quite a fun, bouncy way, and I think it's quite charming. And yeah, 50 feels okay. So we've got 30, 40. We haven't. It's 30, 40, 35, 75, and a 50. No one's bothering with little numbers. This is good. So 230 divided by 5 gives us 46.
Actually, gentlemen, we've made this way too easy for him. Next time, like 51, 63.
Numbers.
Yeah.
Simon, I'm using a calculator, mate. You can say whatever the fuck you want. I just type it in here, mate. I'm not doing this on my head. Oh my God, I'm not that. Marcus, you did it once. You did it once in your head, didn't you? You did the averages.
It's the kind of guy I am, Seb. Multiple talents.
Awesome. So 46, does this go top 10? Doesn't go top 10. Nearly. So this puts it, 46 puts it it puts it in between, it puts it number 12. So in between Motorhead's Magical Tapes, which has 48.8. This has 46. And then Joni Mitchell's Doggy Dog has 45.6. So just above.
Canadians all around there, aren't
they? Yeah. Ross, it's
Hello.
Your choice. What we doing next?
I've been thinking about this one for a while, and actually I was prompted because I heard a podcast on it recently. I thought it just sort of reminded me that I should go for it. And the reason I haven't is because I've been a bit reluctant in that my worry is I'm going to name the album and everyone on the panel is going to go, oh yeah, that's one of my favourite albums, because it's slightly off the beaten track to what we've been doing recently. Because normally we pick an established artist generally who's got a long or well-selling back catalogue, and we have the album that no one particularly likes, and we have a look whether it's any good. This isn't like that. This is this band's only LP, or the only one apart from some outtake stuff that came later. But it's questionable in that it divides opinion probably like nothing else. In that there are some notable people who list it as one of their favourite albums and a work of genius, particularly Kurt Cobain, Frank Zappa.
Is it the Birdland album?
Oh, hang on.
No.
Is it
the
Shags?
It is the Shags. So
we've all been thinking about the Shags, right? We've all been thinking about the Shags.
Oh, good. So it's Philosophy of the World. Let's do it.
Marcus, are you familiar with the Shags?
No idea.
Oh my God, okay. Marcus, you have to be on the next pod. Marcus,
excuse me, I'll decide that.
Sorry.
I'm going to go deeper in it anyway. It's such an intro to the new record that I'm going to go on this one all in. I'll listen to the whole back catalogue.
Extraordinary story, and even the kind of post story, even the more recent story is almost as weird as the original story, which is one of the weirdest and saddest stories in all music history. And that's before you even hear the record. Blimey, Shags, yeah. Good call, Ross. You know, some of these albums are just kind of on our journey, aren't they? They're just kind of mark signposts on the way. Inevitably, that we're going to start. Simon, are you aware of the Shags? You know, you do Shags?
I don't know. Is it the sisters?
Yeah, three sisters. Yeah, Philosophy.
Yeah. So I think I might have heard the same podcast, Ross, because I went on a bit of a deep dive on this one night recently.
Andrew Hickey's.
Could have been, I don't know. Or it might have been a YouTube video that was prompted by the podcast you heard or something, but it was somebody telling the story of it, and it is mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
My pal Footfoot. I've got it on CD.
No doubt.
Yeah, anyway. Right. That'll do, kids. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Ross.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Marcus.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you, Simon.
Very much.
And thanks, Steve, for that excellent choice.
Bye.
Can I just say, as a result of this, because I realised that Leonard Cohen's led a really interesting life and all his being a Buddhist and stuff, and I wanted to hear more about him and Spector. So as a result of this, I bought the Stephen
yeah.
Simmons' acclaimed biography of him.
Yeah.
I bought this the other day, which is supposed to be really good. So I'm looking forward to that. So, thank you.
Books, another thing I might have anything to do with.
Thanks, everyone. Please like and subscribe. Good night.
Bye.
All right.